best thinking.
Vlog on a blog. Tomorrow's news today. Get to the truth. Listen, learn, live. Visit us at yadaya.com.
So what do you think about your avatar there, Will? This is your first appearance on the vlog now that you have your own avatar.
I got to be honest with you, I love it. There was a whole photo shoot that Matt and Leia sent to me. There's probably, I don't know, a dozen pictures. I thought they were great. I
Yeah.
love them.
Oh, I think it's terrific.
I really do.
Yeah, we've got Kevin there. We've got Rich. It's a pretty neat deal. I'm real pleased. We are going to have to get our pal Captain Kirk. I know it's really early in the morning for him, but when the show goes, 8 o'clock? It's not terrible early, but 8 o'clock. But we need to get him out of the sack and him to return. Because he's got a solo shot on that introduction.
He does.
We have a special surprise for you tomorrow. Then. So
okay, well that's good. I'm glad.
Right.
I'm glad because I lobbied for my pal to be one of the guest avatars on that introduction. So I'm hoping that works out good. And then if we continue to use John, who I really like, John is he's the answer to Gen Z. He is one of the few non-zombies of the generation.
The anti-Z, huh?
Yeah, the anti-Z. Yeah. We may get a second avatar on the Kirk page so that we have two on that page too. That would be good. I'm sure that Leia's not going to move Dr. Jeff over so that he loses his lone avatar status because he is advocating the rebutting the rabbinical rubbish that Leia's going to be a co-host on. So she's got to, of course, use this as a little promo for her show. Yeah, I don't know if you know that, but that's the upcoming show is we've got Jeff finally to say, okay, I'm going to do this. He's going to do a show on refuting rabbinical rubbish, and his co-host is going to be Leia.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so that's the reason why that is part of the introduction. Well, welcome to the vlog on the blog. We're going to continue. It's been another interesting day in the news. We're going to talk about a lot of things, including refuting this POS here. The conservative alternative is way outside of his or her bounds. Conservatism would be individual responsibility, not religious responsibility. And this notion that there is a God that endorses Christianity, that there's a God of a cross, that there's a God of knights, that there's a God of men killing other men and wearing mail as opposed to being protected by said God is among the dumbest things in the history of dumb things. So I just want to say that the conservative alternative, you should choose a different name because conservatism actually has merit, but not when it's deployed this despicably. The Crusades were not justified. They went too far, and everything in Christianity is upside down and satanic. And fortunately, in 7 years from now, it will be over. There won't be a single Christian left on this planet, and it will be God's choosing to eliminate them. So you're on the wrong side, and you're just making a fool of yourself. So you can go hang around all the medals you want to and pretend that you're some kind of a heroic person. But this is sick. That's what it is. And anybody that wants to pretend that it's a Rockwell image and you're looking up to somebody that's noble, that's fighting for independence, God, and freedom, you are being played for a fool. There was no Jesus. There is no Mr. Christ. The whole thing is a disgusting lie that does nothing but irritate God.
Yeah. You know, Yada, there's a recent evolution of conservatism, right? And the Barry Goldwater conservatives prior to Ronald Reagan were conservative in the way that you speak of, little c, where small government, lower taxes, less government
Mhm.
involvement, and it was less about religion. When Reagan came along, Reagan decided to pull in that evangelical Southern, Democrat and Republican over the pro-life issue. And that's when it really, in the 80s, it really, Republicans and conservatism really took on that Christian banner
Yeah,
and started
that's not
marching
quite.
under that.
That's actually not quite right. It's close.
Mm.
But remember, I'm 6,000 years old. I've witnessed a lot of this.
Right.
Reagan wasn't much of a Christian. His wife was
It
actually
was not.
the occult. They had seances in the White House.
That's right, yeah.
Reagan didn't give two hoots about any of that. He did not orchestrate
did
that.
not.
He did not make that decision. A man that I was very, very close to, in fact, very good friends with for a number of years. But before this mission and responsibility came upon me, Jerry Falwell. He was the founder of the Moral Majority.
Yeah.
It was Jerry Falwell's idea
Mm.
to rally Christians behind Reagan. It was Jerry Falwell's idea to create what he called the Moral Majority. It was Jerry Falwell's idea to take the old-time gospel hour, which was his television promotional medium, and to use it to engage and enter into politics.
Yeah.
And so Jerry Falwell was the impetus behind this, and to some degree, he worked with a fellow named Ralph Reed, and
That's right, Ralph Reed,
where
yeah.
Jerry was a misled but decent human being, Ralph Reed was a really conniving SOB. They did some really, really despicable things in the name of Christianity and Christian politics. And they are the forerunners of, the tripe you have seen from the likes of the Charlie Kirks, where you mix MAGA politics, promoting the devil himself, a rapist and pedophile, under Christian garb. So it has changed a lot. Reagan was actually modestly conservative. He did buy into what's called the Laffer curve, which was this realization that if you lower tax rates, you will bring in more revenue because you will create the
supply
incentive
side.
for more income. So a smaller slice of a larger pie was better for everyone. That is the Laffer curve that was turned into trickle-down economics because the Dems didn't understand it. And the conservatives weren't well enough versed in economics to explain it either. But that is the Laffer curve. It's been proven numerous times. It was what created the Reagan recovery from stagflation under Jimmy Carter. He at least had conservative economic advisors around him. And so he was able to pass legislation that encouraged productivity. And we had a bit of a revival in American economics under Ronald Reagan for returning to free enterprise principles, where we stopped punishing success and rewarding failure. Reagan's failure was that he was a congenial fellow, and he was just as happy to be pleased by and entertained by the most liberal factions of Washington. And so he, as a conciliator, he just wasn't an effective individual in terms of being a leader to bring the nation back. He compromised on everything. And you just can't compromise yourself to success. And that's who he was. So, long story, but conservatism is something that Yahweh would strongly uphold. He likes individual responsibility, individual values, individual work. He is a huge proponent of work and responsibility in that regard. And he is a huge enemy of collectivization. He always views that many men are bad men, always without exception, that governments of men and institutions comprised of many men are always evil. So that's why I get upset that somebody will use a title that is advocate something that is positive and worthwhile, and then spew religious nonsense underneath it. So there was a period of time when I actually entertained this again before engaging with Yahweh, what I entertained being a libertarian, because the base beliefs of libertarians are government only does what only government can do, and then as little of it is absolutely possible, and that individual responsibility and accountability takes over from there. And unfortunately, almost all the libertarians were religious wackos. So
That's right.
you just realize you just have to opt out of politics entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head with saying Norman Rockwell. That is absolutely the aesthetic, the style that they're trying to go with here, throwing back to.
They've taken a Norman Rockwell painting and they put this idiot in the midst of it.
Yeah, and that is what the allure of MAGA is. MAGA, Make America Great Again, isn't about 1980s, isn't about 1990s. It's about the 1950s when it was, acceptable to be racist, when it was acceptable to be openly anti-Semitic, when it was very, very, those types of things. And so
you came out of World War II and in the 40s, and that by the 1950s. America wasn't broke anymore. America wasn't an afterthought. The rest of the world was bankrupt, and so America was a cool place to be. A lot of innovation, huge progress, and so America was a pretty cool place to be. Unfortunately, in the 1950s, racism was a nasty part of the American subculture. As was all of the issues around communism and people saying you can only be an American if you agree with a particular mindset that was no longer the America of independent thinking and everybody gets to debate issues. That all went haywire in that period of time, and so the 1950s was kind of a bubble that was an illusion of a very different time, and America had emerged from a war that it thought that it won, but it really lost. There is no way to justify losing 350, 400,000 Americans and fighting a war the way we fought it. It was hanging around in Great Britain for 1941 into 44 to before you did anything, as opposed to going up through the beaches of Greece to stop the Nazis and trying to deal with the concentration camps. What we did there, and then Eisenhower sending men in against the teeth of the Nazi defenses. I think what we did was insane, and because we did it that way and that we partnered with Stalin, who was worse than Hitler, we left Europe worse than we found it, which is why I say we lost that war as opposed to winning the war, is that we left the Europe controlled by Stalin, and that was far worse than was Hitler. So I think FDR was I think he was a fascist. That's what I think. And that then you look on the other side, you can't justify losing another 200,000 Americans on the Pacific front in that war. Maybe it was 150,000, but 150 to 200,000 Americans to avenge the death of 3,000. That was asinine. I mean, it's just that grossly immoral. And then the way we finally won the war by firebombing Japanese cities and then dropping nuclear bombs over two entirely civilian targets in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I was sick. I was really, really sick. Yes, I know that America could not have taken the islands, but America didn't have to take the islands at that point. And America didn't have to island hop to get there. There were so many better options. And so America was full of itself for having won this war that, and from any moral standard, it lost. And so I think it was a time of hype. But when people have nostalgia for Make America Great Again, in other words, they think that the 1950s were great, no, I can rip them to ribbons as to what the illusions were. And the illusions, to a large degree, manifest in what we're seeing now. You know, one of the great tragedies was less than 20 years later when Nixon took the country off the gold standard. He did two things that were disastrous for the world we live in now. One is he changed the relationship with China such that the communists in China were no longer an opposition ideology into a group of people that he thought he could win their friendship if we gave them favored nation status and made it exceedingly easy for them to buy to sell America products where it would remain exceedingly difficult for America to reciprocate and sell products in China. That turned out to be a disaster. Mm-hmm. In 50 years, America now is essentially bankrupt and China is the economic engine of the world. It backfired. It backfired to a large degree too, because America became more socialistic and China managed all of their economics on the free enterprise system. Then he did the next thing that was devastating. He went off the gold standard and replaced the gold standard with the petrodollar. He negotiated with the Muslims, who would be the enemy of the world, to promise American military support for their family fiefdoms if they would agree to sell all oil and gas denominated in dollars. And this gave America the ability to have a credit card that they never paid off, that they could each year spend far more than they earned. And it's what caused this rise to a $40 trillion national debt on the fiat currency. And so you could lay both of those ill effects at the feet of Richard Nixon. All right, enough of that man's ugly face. This is something that I find just unbelievably repulsive. The person who posted this is this little dimwit here called Sassafras 84. I suppose you were born in 84, Sassafras. You know why I support ICE? Because illegals kill our people. That's why I support ICE. You're nothing but a dimwit. I don't want to say the next word. It might offend some people. But that's what I think you are. First of all, if you're not smart enough to know the difference between individuals acting badly and institutionalized violence, then you ought not be posting. Then you ought not be exposing yourself for an immoral idiot. It is one thing for individual citizens or other people of all ilks to go off and occasionally do something really reprehensible than it is to have the government impose terror. These are not comparable things. If you are supporting ICE, you are supporting a U.S. nationalized terrorist organization that is murderous, that is out of control, that the very citizens of the country are paying to have them terrorize them and to kill them. This is infinitely worse than some random person committing a horrible act. Infinitely worse. And you can't tell that? Sassafras? What in the hell is wrong with you? And oh, by the way, you can look it up. Do you know that not only is there a vast difference between people acting badly and having violence institutionalized by government, immigrants are 1/2 as violent as U.S. citizens. 1/2, rather than immigrants being twice or 3 times or 10 times more lethal than U.S. citizens, as you would infer from reading this idiotic post, this grossly immoral post by Sassafras. The opposite is true. Immigrants are 1/2 as lethal as U.S. citizens. Immigrants have a lower per capita murder rate than U.S.-born citizens. Peer-reviewed studies. These are studies that are academically done and then checked for their accuracy and the accuracy of the assumptions and the data and the theories of other scholars. including the landmark data that was collected in Texas, where this is an ongoing issue. And they show undocumented immigrants are arrested for homicide at less than half the rate of native-born residents, at less than half. So you're repulsive. You're standing for a rapist and pedophile who is Satan incarnate as the president of the United States. And he have his private army, which are these brown shirts known as ICE. They have no qualifications. They're completely out of control. They are murderous. They are obnoxious. They are depriving people of their freedoms. They've now murdered 10 people and had another 50 die in their custody. And you want to exonerate them and create the lie that immigrants are somehow more murderous than our native-born Americans, when the facts are the opposite of that. I'm just disgusted. Listen, anytime somebody wants to talk about, as they do now in Europe, as Elon Musk loves to do, and all of these right-wing wackos want to do with their border controls, anytime somebody wants to say, I don't like immigrants, I don't want immigrants, I want to get rid of the immigrants, then what they are is a racist retard. I would call them a half-tard or a no-tard. Retard used to be the term. They're just racists.
Yeah.
That's what they are. And it's despicable to me. Listen, America was a country of native peoples. We killed them all. Not all. We killed only 99% of them. We stole their country. And the people that came to this country were 100% immigrants. This country, as we know it now, was stolen from the native population and was built entirely by immigrants. And you want to say, just because you feel special, that we can't have any more immigrants? Oh, you say, well, we have to go through the process. The process is asinine. It's the government that runs the process. The process is absolutely asinine.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work. And oh, by the way, the majority of the immigrants that come here are because of our asinine drug use, so that we create a culture in South America that's impossible to live in, because Americans are so screwed up they can't live without their drugs.
Yeah.
So
and our
go
immigration
to hell,
process.
Sassafras. You are disgusting. And all of those who agree with you, including most of the users here on X, including the owner of X. That's my rant. Got anything to add, fellas?
Well, yeah, there's a couple points on this that came up as you were speaking. I mean, working backwards, the last one you talked about was our drug use, also our wars. A lot of our immigration comes from places that we go to war to, and so we get a very large population of Muslims of people that we have just gotten done or are actively bombing.
Because we destroyed Libya, because we destroyed Syria, because we destroyed Iraq, because we destroyed Afghanistan. And now we're destroying Iran. I mean, in fact, even the Iranians that have come here previously were because Jimmy Carter returned the Ayatollah. We do this to ourselves through our own stupidity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what do you think is going to happen in Venezuela now that we're bankrupting the country? I mean, they at least had some source of income with the sale of their oil, and now they got nothing, because Trump's confiscating the proceeds of the oil.
That's right.
Yeah, those that can make it, that can get out of Venezuela and make their way up here, because that's been going on for a long time with the socialisms there. People have been trying to flee.
Yeah, and what's going to happen with the United States imposing all sorts of tariffs on Mexico, when one of the things that was intelligent is creating maquiladora so that people could earn a living in Mexico and could stay in Mexico and care for their families, by making products in Mexico. And now you put tariffs on them so that they're out of the jobs. And you're undermining the credibility and the stability of the system by saying you're not going to renew NAFTA. It's asinine what we have done.
Yeah.
And then you say, well, we're going to export them. Then who's going to harvest your fields? Who's going to wait on your table at the restaurant? Who's going to make the beds and the hotels? Who's going to do the jobs you don't want to do? Who's going to do the construction jobs? Because
Optimists
it ain't this current generation of native-born Americans, this Gen X, Gen Z, they're zombies. They don't work. So who's going to do the work? You're so damn counterproductive and stupid, sassafras. So I'm surprised you even have the wherewithal to write, this is why I support ICE. They all died because of illegals. Go to hell.
Yep.
And the other issue with this is ICE itself. Okay, an animal, an organization, a machine has been created here that is going to be too big to put down. At some point, it's going to run out of immigrants, and it's going to turn itself onto American citizens.
Of course.
Whoever Trump decides the next enemy is, that's his personal force right there.
Well, actually, the brown shirts are going to be used. ICE is going to be used exactly the way Hitler used the brown shirts. They are a replica of them, which means that Trump has already prepared the U.S. military, and unfortunately, there isn't anybody in the U.S. military with any character anymore. You found that out because fewer than 8 resignations out of 800 flag officers when Trump said, I'm going to deploy you in the United States, you're going to find out who the real enemy is. Soon, Trump is going to do the same thing Adolf Hitler did. He's creating the Fourth Reich. And that is that Hitler had his brown shirts, his ICE, to disrupt the Germany and to create an environment where he could rise to unquestioned power. But there came a time when the brown shirts became too well armed and too integrated within the Nazi apparatus, where the military said it's them or us. Take your pick. And the military in America is going to say the same thing. It's the generals are going to say, we're the ones carrying the guns. We're the ones that are going to do the fighting. It's them or us. And then you had the Night of the Long Knives in Germany. Well, Donald Trump is less loyal than was Adolf Hitler. You're going to have the Night of the Long Knives, and ICE will be put down. But it will serve its purpose over the next couple of years, and then Trump's going to have total anarchy, and he's going to deploy the U.S. military in the United States so that there's no elections in 2028. That's the plan. Watch it unfold.
And this what we're seeing now through ICE is a symptom of a broken legal system. The people that have committed these heinous acts, immigrants or not, committed a crime at some point. And so why were they not indicted? Why were they not in trial?
Because the Justice Department is controlled by Trump, who is vindictive, who threatens everybody, because that's who he does. This president that Sassafras supports, he is a conniving, vindictive one. He is demonic. He will tear everyone to pieces. And so even liberal states like Minnesota, they're afraid to indict and convict, to try the murderers of Pretty and of Good. And my guess is you'll find Maine the same way. They'll be afraid to prosecute this fellow, and you'll find the same thing in Texas.
Oh, there's no way he's getting prosecuted.
So when there are murders like this, and there is no accountability, and those murderers are carrying weapons and are paid for by the United States and wearing badges that can deprive people of life and liberty by the country, and there is no accountability, your country is a third world banana republic.
It's going to devolve quick. Yep.
I'll take the Christian and hold the Judeo. How could you be that effing stupid? I mean, really, how could you be that effing stupid? If you removed the Judeo from Christianity, you'd have nothing left. And the whole thing is based upon robbing the Jews of everything. All the promises to the Jews, the Jewish Messiah, the Jewish king, the Jewish city, the Jewish everything is it's the whole thing. You know, even your pretend Jesus, he was Jewish. Every one of the letters of Paul was Jewish. So holding the Judeo is like saying, I am so effing stupid that I don't even know the origins of my own religion. You know, the entire religion is based upon counterfeiting the things of the Jews and stealing the things of the Jews. So if you don't want to be Judeo, why did you follow a religion that stole everything from the Jews and counterfeited everything from the Jews? Because that's all you got in Christianity. It's a thievery and counterfeit.
It's as Eusebius said, it's the Hebrews have been a boon for Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, you get right to it. It's the gospel Jesus is a counterfeit of the actual Messiah, Son of God and Savior, the chosen one, Dowd, is nothing but a counterfeit of Dowd. And the church is based upon stealing all of the promises God gave to Israel. So you remove those two things, you got nothing left.
Right.
But it's a nice helmet there, pal.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the redeemed, you're not. You're condemned. And by the way, redeemed is a Hebrew word and a Hebrew concept, not a Christian concept. There is a war against Christians. Defend your faith. You know, Christianity only works if they are perceived as victims.
That's right.
Only works if they're perceived as victims. And yet they've never been victims. Even this period under Diocletian where they claimed to have been martyrs, it was the Romans were so sick of them. There's all sorts of reports from the Romans saying, listen, we'll give you the damn rope. Go off and hang yourself, please. Just get out of here. It wasn't the case. You made it up because you want to make it look like faith had some merit. And so if you had people willing to die for it, it created the illusion that your faith had some merit. So you created this martyrdom mindset. It's the same martyrdom mindset that propels Islam. It's absolute rubbish. Christians are not being fought against. There's no war against Christians. Although there will be, there should be, and there will be, because the religion has been the single worst thing that's ever happened to humanity. Single worst thing that's ever happened to humanity is the religion of Christianity, and it will be exercised in its entirety within 7 years. Yeah. And now I know the guy that's going to do it.
Right.
So well, it's going to be
I'll be sure to find you pissed off. And by the way, you will be. I will assure you that you get to earn that title. Go ahead there, sir.
Will?
Next, unless you got something to add, let's go on.
Oh,
yeah.
There's 2.2 billion Christians. I mean, that is just as bad at war as the Israelis are at Gazan genocide. There's more Gazans now than there was before, you know? So yeah,
even though there are, I think, 2.5 billion people that would attest to being Christians, Christianity is a dying religion. Mm-hmm. Christianity went from being 85 to 90% of Americans identified as Christians 20, 30 years ago, and that number is down to 35 or 40%. It's been halved. And the same thing would probably be true if you take the same poll in Europe. Christianity is a rapidly dying religion. It does not hold up to scholarship or to evidence and reason. And so it is a very rapidly dying religion. It's not under attack. It's just dying from its own lies. It can't. You build a house of cards, it just won't stand all that long. So it's amazing that it's this long.
You don't think there's a sense of not necessarily intentional, but a restructuring of with all these new style, new age churches and stuff that, I mean, because the idea of Christian values is, there's no longer the big, mega, Catholic churches or the big bet. You have the Joel Osteens, you have the, this rebranding
Yeah,
where
they've
people
been-
are searching out their own, new agey type of Christianity thing that,
No, the super pastors have gone all the way back to the 4th century. Wasn't it John the Golden Mouth that conceived the vitriol that was used against Jews and later incorporated by Eusebius into the text of Sinaiticus and Vaticanus? No, there have been super churches with orators with their fire and brimstone preaching, or their polish or whatever it was. In the beginning of time, there have been more favored preachers over less favored preachers, more favored popes over less favored popes. So I think that it's the same, and that you can go back to with the Tower of Power and the who was the guy who was in Southern California that was the Christianity of positive thinking. He built the whole television persona on positive thinking. It was. In fact, I remember meeting him. I've forgotten his name at this point. Robert Schuller was the, and that goes back 50 years. So this has been around for a long time. And even the television evangelist is losing its steam because today television has lost its steam.
That's probably why we see banners like this, because Christianity is going to have to start declaring war to rally the faithful, convince everybody that they're being attacked and they need to rally, just like a government would do. When they're in trouble, they declare a war and they rally everybody to it. I could see Christianity having to go down that same road, because your point is that it's eroding, and it's eroding fairly quickly.
There are 5 volumes of this book called Christianity, 5 volumes. And they systematically kill the myth of Jesus and disprove every word of the Christian New Testament. And in fact, they make a mockery of everything that is in the Christian New Testament. It would be absolutely impossible. And you can take this as your challenge. Any one of you who want to promote Christianity, go to yadayah.com, go down here, pissed off. You wouldn't do you any good, but anyone's listening, go to yadayah.com, go to the books page. You'll find it right there in the header, and click on the first volume of Christianity. You'll find it really well written, exceedingly well documented, and all based on evidence and reason. And it systematically proves that Christianity is false in its entirety. And then it actually tells you what the truth is that Christianity corrupted to promote this lie. And it's in many places, it's actually funny because the Christian lies are so thin and so absurd. But go read it. I killed Jesus, murdered him, assassinated him, and left nothing, not even a blood stain there, and replaced it by what actually happens to be true. So if you want to go to war with me.
Yep.
I'll take all 2.5 million Christians on single-handedly, and we'll defeat you all collectively. Yeah.
Take about
That's
one
what I was going to
volume
say is
to win that war.
the book has already done that. The book has already won the war. They just don't realize that
Yes.
they're dead yet.
That is correct. That is correct.
They just
Yeah,
haven't accepted the terms.
I've already won this. I've already won this war. It's over. You just haven't announced your surrender, but you will. Oh, this is pissed off again. So I guess pissed off is really trying to win Moron of the Year award here on X. He's claiming that in front of all of these bunks for the concentration camps in Germany, these were actually be in Poland, but He's claiming that it was Eisenhower that put German soldiers in there and starved the German soldiers to death. And those aren't Jews that were starved by the Nazis. Those are Germans that were starved by the Americans as POWs. Now,
Sure.
imagine being that stupid. I mean, I can't be it's just beyond the pale that somebody could actually be that stupid. By the way, Rich, we're having.
I know.
Okay. So I'm here to tell you that it was Germans that assassinated 6 million Jews and 6 million others. It was a mass assassination factory that they built. I've been in those concentration camps. I have I've seen it, and I'm one of the few people that's not only read Hitler's Mein Kampf, but written books comparing Mein Kampf to the religion that it is the most similar to. The Quran and Mein Kampf are exceedingly similar. And so I've written a book in the Goddamn Religion series that compares Mein Kampf and the Quran and Hadith of Islam. And again, have been in these concentration camps. And I'm here telling you pissed off. I'm going to assure that you're really, really pissed off in the future because your level of depravity, it has no place in this world. I understand that it's beloved on X, but I'll take the owner of X with you and make certain that you are properly escorted to Sheol and never see the light of day again. Oh, here again we have one of the best parts. One of the best parts of being a Christian is knowing that God wins in the end. And you don't even know who God is.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, I've read the end of you, and the end of rule on earth comes with the eradication of every Christian, every religious Jew, and every Muslim, and every Marxist as well as every Hindu. There'll be nobody who is religious or political left on the earth. So I've read the story in the end, and I'm here to tell you that Christianity, you lose, as does Judaism, as does Islam, as does Marxism. God's going to restore the earth to the conditions of Eden. He's not going to make it a desolate place like that. And when he does, he has to remove all of the briars, all of the weeds, and religion is the ultimate weed.
Yeah.
Bye.
I would not be playing with snakes and sandals. Good job to the AI, though. I mean, I got 5 toes, so well done on.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good
good
for
already.
AI.
All right.
Yeah, what they're trying to talk about here is the punishment of Hasatan in the narrative in the garden, where he will be eating dirt, crawl on his belly, and then he will go after the heel, where the remedy will be that he will be crushed in the head. And I can assure you that this Sola has no clue as to what the actual message of that garden story was, who the serpent actually is, why the serpent was programmed to do as he did, who Chawa represents, who Adam represents, and why each of those judgments was laid out by God for each of the 3 independently at the end, and how they are ultimately resolved. I can assure you that I do know, and I have written about it. You can go to yadayada.com and listen and read, and you can know too, but at this point you do not.
God does win in the end, though. Too bad they'll die estranged from him.
Yeah. I do want you to play this one. It's not all that short, but it addresses Lindsey Graham. And it is a very articulate condemnation of Lindsey Graham. I think Lindsey Graham is, again, the scum of the earth. I think he was the devil's advocate. And the only thing that I would say that he fails on, and he's very articulate, is that he did not present the video of Lindsey Graham with John McCain going to the neo-Nazi factions in Ukraine long before the proxy war with Russia began. But as Lindsey Graham and John McCain were promoting regime change and had, by violence, changed the government of Ukraine from pro-Russian, voted by the people pro-Russian, to anti-Russian by way of weapons supplied by America. And then those two goons, and I hate to say that because I actually like John McCain, I knew him quite well, went into Ukraine and told the Ukrainians, and I've played the video many times, it's easily searchable on the web, that your war will be our war. We want you to go kill some Russians. Yeah. And he is on record constantly saying, and indeed in the last speech before his death, that the best investment America ever made was using Ukrainians to kill Russians. Mm-hmm. This was a murderous madman. For sure. His legacy is that of death and of deception. He started the war that he blames Russia for responding to. He was a huge advocate for this failed war in Iran. He was a huge advocate of Israel destroying Gaza as opposed to dealing with the real problem, which is Islam. He was wrong about everything and a disastrous person for this world. It's why I'm so upset that there are pro-Israeli accounts and Netanyahu praising Lindsey Graham when he was so counterproductive as a human being. He was literally the devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. So let's play this.
This was a true monstrous enemy of humanity, Lindsey Graham. He openly declared that killing Russians was one of the best investments the American people could make, one of the most profitable investments imaginable. For this, Russia officially recognized him as a terrorist and an extremist. But I want to draw attention to the symbolism of his death, a man who was simultaneously a Zionist, a Russophobe, an extremist, and a terrorist, a classic warmonger, an instigator of wars, a supporter of genocide, someone who suggested dropping a nuclear bomb on Gaza, an aggressive, perverted madman. He literally embodied everything we despise and hate about the modern West, the worst of the worst. The fact is, in his final video, he stood in Kiev holding a drone loaded with explosives and said straight to the camera, "Right now, this is all going to fly into Russia, and Russians will die, Russian children, Russian women, Russian elderly." Those were his last public words. He promised Zelensky, another terrorist and extremist, that he would ram new sanctions through Congress, that together with Blumenthal, he would designate Russia a state sponsor of terrorism and unleash other punishments upon us. In other words, he died literally in the middle of yet another monstrous speech against Russia. And immediately after his return to the United States, Russian missiles destroyed the facilities in Kiev where drones were being assembled, including the Flamingo, along with other dangerous weapon systems. So it turns out the American senator stood there threatening Russia, and the moment he left, that production was wiped out. Not a single Ukrainian air defense system could prevent it. Now, there is neither the factory nor Lindsey Graham. From a symbolic standpoint, the entire story with Lindsey Graham is an undeniable information victory for Russia, Iran, and China. The stupidest thing we could do right now is start saying, yes, of course, he went too far sometimes, but we express our condolences. Absolutely not. They are constantly trying to mock and humiliate Russia through similar information campaigns. The most correct symbolic position in this situation is simple: a dog's death for a dog. When your open enemy, a vile creature who hates you, dies, is that really a reason for sadness? I am not calling for crude gloating, but this is an element of information warfare. And in this game, you can only play it two ways.
You know, if that guy knew you, I could retire, man. He's articulate.
Yeah.
I don't think he went far enough, which is hard to imagine for some people because Lindsey Graham was a more vile liar than this, and the entire war was conceived by Lindsey Graham and others. I mean, it goes all the way back to George Bush and Obama and Victoria Nuland, and then Trump was up to his eyeballs, and Biden and the Ukrainians actually starting the war with Ukrainians started the war twice. Once when they started murdering ethnic Russians in the Donbass region at America's assistance with American weapons, with Lindsey Graham's insistence, and then when they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. And then to the vile nature of America, then promoting propaganda such that 80% of Americans believe that the Russians were the aggressors. In fact, you look at anything. I looked yesterday. There was a positive accolade to Putin and some of the things that he's accomplished. And the vile responses on X, where literally everyone condemned Putin and made it sound like that Putin had invaded a free country and that he was the villain, when America is the villain and Lindsey Graham was the villain. And I just shake my head as to say how far humanity has fallen intellectually, rationally, morally, and how this cesspool of X is so deficient. And yet here on X, we have an extraordinary man making a profoundly important statement, but you have to weed through enormous trash to find it. And I would tell you that if you were to expand his post and see the responses to it, they would be about 95% in opposition to him. And yet not a single person would have any evidence and reason to support what they do. They've just been brainwashed.
Yeah, he's so anti-Semitic. When you go look at the rest of what he produces, that's why he's not getting attacked. He is so, majorly anti-Israel.
Oh, this fellow?
Alexander Dugin. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you could tell that he calls a Zionist. He obviously doesn't know Yahweh. Yeah, but that's again, that's our problem. You never find anybody.
No, and then you go read what he's written. It's freaking vile.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. Well,
it figures.
He is right about Lindsey Graham, and he is wrong about Yahweh and Jews. Now, no.
Blind squirrel.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that is particularly sad in this world is that Netanyahu has contributed mightily to the hatred of Jews.
Yeah.
What he did in Gaza was asinine.
Yep.
It was immoral. It was unjustified. I'm not calling it genocide because it wasn't genocide. But you go and completely obliterate the homes of 2 million people to avenge the deaths of 1,200. That's not moral, and it enraged the world. And then you go and attack Iran twice, and the consequence of this war on Iran, because as I've said before they attacked, easy to start a war. This one you'll never be able to end. It's impossible to end this war. And
exactly right.
Because of that, you're going to have next year, there'll be hundreds of thousands of people that'll die of famine because of the lack of fertilizer. And there will be choices to make between the allocation of diesel between farm equipment and trucking to distribute food into grocery stores. A terrible travesty. There'll be economies that will be completely ransacked as a result of this war, and you've turned a non-war into a war between three countries, and now into a regional war, and have the potential of becoming a world war. And so Israel has aided and abetted that, and they've turned the world against them. Now, there was an undercurrent of anti-Semitism born out of Christianity, because the Christian New Testament condemns Jews for killing their God. And so there is this tragic anti-Semitism as a result of that. But Netanyahu and company have done a lot to exacerbate a very, very bad problem. And now Israel is completely alone. They have no support anywhere in the world, and isolated. They've clung to Trump as if they could rely on him, viewing him as the second coming of Cyrus, when in fact Trump is Satan. Their prophets spoke about him. They ought to be able to read their own prophets, and he's the great betrayer. And he's already betrayed them, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Trump was always looking for a scapegoat, and Israel's going to be a scapegoat.
Yeah.
He's already made that clear. So I'm sorry that this fellow who was so articulate, although he missed points that he should not have missed, if he's really well informed and rational, he should not have missed the points that I brought up. And I was I was disappointed that he brought up Zionists. The fact of the matter is, Lindsey Graham was one of the reasons that Netanyahu felt at liberty to destroy Gaza, why Israel felt at liberty to attack Iran not once but twice. And those were exceedingly counterproductive things for Israel. It was the wrong move. It's a disastrous move for God's people. And I don't like Netanyahu. But again, I watch a lot of news. I'm a news junkie. Because you can't do a program like this, and you can't analyze prophecy unless you're up to speed. And the very few people who are in the public eye who give lip service to Israel, they do so for all the wrong reasons. There is not I don't think there's anybody out there who is supportive of Israel for the right reasons and is opposed to the Israeli government for the right reasons. And the overwhelming preponderance of people, their simple answer to everything is blame the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet Ukraine won't be doing any show and tell tours to American senators anymore. I mean, can you imagine the day after that senator, or that day that the senator leaves, that facility gets just completely taken out? The AI that they're using
which it means that Putin could have killed him. If Putin wanted to kill him, he would have killed him. Yeah. And Putin would have every reason to kill him. And by the way, I understand if you're a Russian, you're going to despise Israel now. Israel played a role in removing you from Syria to install the head of the Islamic State. And Israel has played a very active role, not only with the Mossad, but with actual IDF troops in Ukraine to defend the Ukraine and to help the Ukraine attack Russia. So Israel was a beneficiary of Russia when Russia allowed Israel access to Hezbollah kinds of things that they could blow up, and when worked with Israel in trying to maintain Israel's security when Russia was involved in Syria, and thought that maybe, we ought to get some benefit from working with Israel. Putin was exceedingly supportive of Israel in that regard, and then Israel turned on Russia. And so as a Russian, you would have every reason to say the Israelis can't be trusted.
Yeah.
And, here again, Russia's second most important ally is Iran, and Israel is the one that's destroying it. So, again, if you're a Russian, you're going to be exceedingly unhappy with and disgusted by Israel. I'm not going to justify his response, but Still true. Israel has become its own worst enemy. Yeah, the only fact checker we can trust. I'm going to tell you that if you were fact checking the New Testament, which is what I did, this is one of 5 volumes fact checking the Christian New Testament, and I can tell you that the score was an F-. So
the front half is pretty good.
The front half is pretty good. You've got to remove the book of Ezekiel. Actually, you can use the book of Ezekiel. You just have to know that it was inspired by Satan. You need to remove the book of Job. It doesn't belong. And if yours is a Catholic version and it has the book of Enoch, you need to remove that. You should remove the book of Esther. It has no merit. But you get the trash out, and of the Hebrew portion of it, the first half of Daniel is all trash. Then the first part, you'd have to remove the word holy from the front. Holy means diseased in Hebrew, and Bible means to confuse by confounding and intermixing. So you'd have to change the name, and then you'd have to remove the entire last quarter of it, which is called the Christian New Testament, because it contradicts the front of it. And so if there are many facts in the first 3 quarters, but all those facts are upended and challenged and contradicted in that concluding 1 quarter. So you can't have a book that negates everything that was said in the first 3 quarters be factual and credible. It's unbelievably stupid. It's like saying, okay, so God was an utter failure. He couldn't save anybody. He came up with a plan and fell asleep on the job. He became really old, probably died. And so he authorized a sexual pervert and man who was demon possessed by his own acknowledgement to contradict everything he said, to besmirch his Torah and his name and his reputation, and gave this man total authority over the world to come up with his own plan, which is, but I, Paul, say.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Governments are good. Governments are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, the New Testament is internally contradictory and filled with deceptions and lies, and every quotation of the Torah, prophets, and Psalms found in the New Testament is errant. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the 4 Gospels are internally contradictory, and Paul's letters are illogical and irrational. You got nothing. I mean, Christianity, it's the dumbest religion, really. Well, I keep on saying that. There's some other dumb religions. Islam's pretty stupid, and Mormonism's pretty stupid, and Scientology is pretty stupid. So, Hinduism is pretty stupid.
Scientology was always supposed to be stupid, though. Scientology got started as a joke. So
yes, it did. It got started as a joke. It's not a joke anymore because it ruined so many lives. But it was started as a bet.
Mm-hmm.
L. Ron Hubbard was bet that he couldn't create he was a pretty good author, that he couldn't create a story that would be turned into a religion. So he came up with the volcano and the spaceship and the souls that were disgorged in the process.
And voila.
Voila. It's amazing. You can get enough money behind it. You can sell anybody anything, and they'll believe it. Look at Mormonism. I mean, Joseph Smith was a con artist, claims that he was given a tablet and that he translated the tablet, which became the Book of Mormon. But then he lost the tablet, and then he was given a new tablet, but wasn't able to keep that tablet. And he claimed that the only reason he was given the second access to the tablet, he was the only person that could translate ancient languages. And so somebody gave him a citation from the Book of the Dead before the Rosetta Stone and said, well, then translate this. And he did. And he said, oh, yeah, this is very consistent with the Book of Mormon. It talks about Abraham and the covenant and that sort of thing. And when it was an incantation, now we learned what you can actually try to translate. It's an incantation of the Book of the Dead and the Egyptian religion. Everything he said about the Americas was a lie. The native peoples were not Jews. They did not come over in a big ship during the time of Solomon. And the details, the coinage and the horses and all the other things that he claims, none of it's true. It's all factually invalid. And so you could put Mormonism right up there with everything else that is just laughably untrue. But the whole basis of Christianity is a complete joke.
Mm-hmm.
There was no one named Jesus. There was no Mr. Christ. And the whole premise of the story is ridiculous. That a God can be trusted who says that all the promises I've gave to my people I'm going to renege because they killed me. I got mad because my people killed me. That's your God. So he's not only dishonest, but people can kill him. Come on. How could you be that stupid? Yeah. Timothy Donahue, huh? And he's the one. It's not the little skinny guy. It's him. And evidently he killed somebody else in Chicago a year ago. Words escape me as to just how reprehensible ICE is, Donald Trump is, MAGAs are, America has become.
Yeah.
The people that killed Good, that killed Purdy, that they're still on the job. All of these guys that committed these, it wasn't not even a slap on the wrist. Not an, oh, come on, man, you're just a little bit too gung ho for us. You know, we're gonna let you go find another job somewhere else. No, they're still on the job to this day, still doing the same thing.
You put a guy like that in a vest that says police, and you give him a weapon and tell him he can go and be this belligerent, and then you don't convict him so that it keeps others in line.
Mm-hmm.
You've created worse than the brown shirts.
And look at the people we have supporting them. Just a couple of posts prior to this one, people are still out there promoting and finding this acceptable. You would think there'd be a tremendous public backlash against ICE, and there's not. Certainly, the Democrats have an issue with it, but
you're coming out of your garage and somebody is belligerent and yelling at you, and they're in an unmarked car, and they look like this, and you're going to. And you've got your daughter in the back seat, you're going to stop and subject yourself to madmen that out of control, that obviously can't be trusted. You put a person in an impossible position. And then you have the MAGAs promoting it and the dumpster promoting it. It's demonic. Yeah, you play this little thing. It's just really short. A person jumps off the cliff, and they're given a lifeline from their God, and they want to say that's the nature of your pal Jesus. Amen. This is the nature of religion. I don't think there's any sounding. Oh, I guess there is. So yeah, you can. That's the whole thing. Just go right ahead and jump off that cliff. Believe that you jump off that cliff, you're not going to die, that your is going to whisk you up to heaven for no particular reason. That's the nature of that's what a belief is all about. You're going to risk your life believing that you that cliff and that somehow you're going to be saved.
Yeah. Forfeit your soul in the
That's why religion is so dastardly.
Yeah.
I can tell all who have died trusting Christianity are in one of two places. Their souls have been dissipated to nothingness and they wasted their lives, or they're in Sheol. Not a single Christian is in heaven. Not one, not ever, including the mythical Jesus, including Paul, including Mark and Luke. They're either in Sheol or they're in their souls are dissipated to nothingness. Not a single person has ever been saved by the lie that is Christianity. What is that Trump has got on their roster? Have you ever seen one of those before?
It's an Akia. Yeah. Aquila.
It's an Akia. Yep. And Aquila is from what?
From Rome. They carried
Rome,
him in front.
Rome.
The legions carried him in front of them. Yeah.
That's correct. In fact, if you had lost your Aquila, the entire legion was disbanded, and the people were treated worse than slaves. And that was the symbol of Rome. It was the symbol also of the Third Reich. That is Trump's symbol because he is creating the Fourth Reich, and he's not doing it subtly. Der Fuhrer is creating the rise and the fall of the Fourth Reich. So here is a speech. And in his speech, he says, we can't be responsible for daycare. We can't be responsible for welfare. We can't be responsible for Medicare. We have wars to fight. We can only, as the federal government, be responsible for the Department of War. Oh, great. Thank you very much. Well, at least he admitted it.
Yeah.
Can't be involved in anything that might benefit people and that is not vicious and destructive. No, not Satan. The only thing we can afford is war. We're going to go kill people, destroy things, blow stuff up. That's what that flag now symbolizes and that Aquila symbolizes. We're going to go blow stuff up. Can't be bothered with any of your daycare. Can't be bothered with Medicare and with anything like that. No. Let's all for war and war for all. That way, Maggie.
You know, talking about I just noticed that the tassels on the flag have changed. Normally they're gold tassels. I mean, you can't see any of the fringes, but normally the tassels are gold. There's a complete flag protocol that exists. So each part of that flag has a symbolic meaning. And those tassels are new to me that are that red, white, and blue or whatever color they are. There is an absolute, they're not there by accident.
No, and he's the guild.
Trump
Well,
probably
look,
changed them
he's
on
got
the
the
whim.
gold curtain, so the gold curtain blends with his Aquila. He's not behind the rostrum of the President of the United States, no, because he wants to be the Caesar of the world. He wants to be Julius Caesar. And I would like him to be too, at 2 Brutus. So at least he's got that part right. He's going to make his declaration. He's a god on the Ides of March, according to the prophets. So the Ides of March is the most important day in the Roman calendar. Yeah, he's building the Fourth Reich. Yep. That's why he has this arc to Trump. That's why he's building the ballroom. That's why he's got the Aquila there. That's why he doesn't want elections anymore. That's why he has the Department of War and does not have a Department of Defense anymore. And he's honest, at least, about that.
Yep.
Don't make me tap on the sign. Muslims and Jews do not belong in Western countries. Redeemed? You got it all backwards. You are condemned and not redeemed, and you're in bed with Satan. You have a blue check on X for being an anti-Semitic scum. Anyway, X.
Yep.
Grok, you should be so proud.
Yep.
But Grok was fooled because Jews was written with a 3 and a 5.
Right.
I don't think Grok was fooled. I think Elon is quite all right with what this
Anti-Semitism.
I think
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah, but he's in bed with Muz 5 WUMs. So maybe it was he fooled him on the Muz 5 WUMs. So who knows? But he's in bed with them. If it wasn't for them, he wouldn't have had the funding for SpaceX, and he would have been bankrupt a long time ago, even with Tesla. So he's in bed with the Muslims. Oh yes. So yeah, here is Allahu Akbar. This is one of the big issues is Muhammad, if he was born in the year of the elephant, which is what the Quran suggests, and without any evidence to the contrary, the hadiths want to have Muhammad born in, I think, 570, and so that he would have been 50 or 40 when he started with Islam. But the Quran celebrates what's called the Year of the Elephant, and as such, the only reason it would even speak of the Year of the Elephant is to insinuate that that was the time that Muhammad was born. That being the case, he was 66 when he started screwing around and sexually with Aisha, who was 6. 66 and 6. 666, a nice combination. But Muhammad was never satisfied with raping one 6-year-old child. He received children from other surrounding communities as part of deals that he did with them. And that's what this one is talking about here. There were 2 sex slaves that were young children that were delivered to him. And so the pervert, as he approached 70, started screwing around with them too. And then to make matters worse, every time that Muhammad robbed and terrorized a Jewish community, he always killed the men and he sold the children into slavery. But he would take the prettiest Jewish woman, and he did it over and over and over again, and it's confirmed in the Quran and Hadith. He took the prettiest Jewish woman and he confiscated her after murdering her husband and her father and her sons, and perpetually raped her. And so he's not just a rapist; he's a rapist of women whose father, sons, and husbands he murdered. And that's a rapist of an entirely different caliber, isn't it? And all the while
exactly
he had
what happened on
sex
October
slaves who were
7th.
little children. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I can see where it comes from.
Muhammad is not only was not a prophet, he was the scummiest man who ever lived. And so if you're a Muslim, you need to know that what I'm saying is not my opinion. It's proven over and over again. This is one of 5 volumes, 4,200 pages on Islam. And in this book, I absolutely and unequivocally prove that Muhammad was a terrorist, that I use the Islamic Quran and Hadith. This is a citation from the Quran 66:1. I cover the entire Quran. I provide 6 translations of it, including my own. And I set the Quran into the context of Muhammad's life, reorder it chronologically, and systematically prove that Allah was Satan and that Muhammad was a rapist, a pedophile, and a mass murdering terrorist. And everything that he said was a lie. It's a shame that there are 2 billion Muslims. But you put all these things together and you realize that, I've written 5 volumes to disprove Christianity and have killed Jesus. And I've written 5 volumes to disprove Islam and have shown that Allah is Satan and that Muhammad was not a prophet. It's a lot for one life.
Yeah.
And that was a part-time job, because my primary focus is translating the Torah, prophets, and Psalms from the Dead Sea Scrolls and providing insights as to who God actually is and what he's offering and what he expects in return.
Yeah. The main gig is being a Bashar, right?
Yeah, human error. Yeah, that's the main gig. But God wanted me to start with exposing and condemning Islam, which I have done, and I've done 10,000 radio interviews in support of that, and then to repudiate Christianity, which has started off as questioning Paul, and now is Twistianity in 5 volumes. And all I did is set what Paul said to what God said. They are the opposite of one another. One of the two is lying. And since Paul claims that he is working for the God he misquoted, there is no set of circumstances where it's possible that Paul told the truth. And Paul is the basis of Christianity. He's the one who invented Mr. Christ. He wrote the first 14 books of the religion, and the next 3 were written by his posse, Mark, Luke, and Acts. So he is Christianity.
Yeah.
We showed this picture a couple of years ago, year and a half ago anyway. That's the current Pope. He's got that same bent ghoulish. If I can get this here, you look at the cross that I have here. That's the same one that he's got there.
That's right.
I'm always disgusted by the idea of Christianity having a tortured God on a stick, a dead God on a stick. But the one that Pope is using there is a really, really convoluted and tortured God on a stick. I just think a religion that thinks that it's fun to present their God tortured and dying is really, really demonic and sick. And of course, he's wearing a Dagon hat, which is entirely pagan, and he's carrying this tortured God on a stick, and he's bowing down to Mary. There was actually no Mary, but everything about Mary has her be the crown, the
Sheriff.
Queen of Heaven and the Mother of God. She is Astarte. She is the one that the Torah, prophets, and Psalms rips to shreds, condemning as the pagan Mother of God and Queen of Heaven. And so Roman Catholicism simply integrated the pagan beliefs of cultures around them to amalgamate more believers into the religion. And this is all part of it. That's the reason why there is Easter. Astarte is also known as is Istar, and that became Easter. And it's Easter that the Son of the Sun is becomes this Samaramus here, this Astarte Mary figure is impregnated by the sun's rays, so that 9 months later she can give birth to the Son of the Sun on the winter solstice, which is Christmas. The whole thing is just pagan, pure and simple. So I'm glad to see the picture of the new American Pope bowing down before his goddess.
I'm glad you cleared that up, because I always thought it was a Shiska god and a Datgun hat, but you cleared those up. It's a Dagon hat, right?
It's a Dagon hat, yeah. Dagon is actually the name of the. That's it's the fishtail of the Dagon hat. It was part of this same cult. Because the Mother of God and the Queen of Heaven was shown that ictus that Christians have, it was turned 90 degrees. It's a vagina. And so Christians turn the vagina symbol of the fertility god, the Madonna and Child, into the symbol of their religion. And they then took the Dagon hat, which is symbolic of that fish god, and made it the crown of the Pope. And of course, Pope is from the Latin, where Augustus Caesar was the first to call himself the father of all Romans, the Pope. And so it's a Roman imperial title that they bequeathed upon themselves. And God, of course, calls Imperial Rome and the Roman Catholic Church the beast that trampled, the most vicious of beasts, and the beast that trampled on the entire world. So this is the worst enemy that mankind has ever faced, according to God. Yeah, this is an ongoing battle where the atheist thinks he's all cool. He's up there smoking his marijuana or whatever, and people are killing other people, believing in different gods, and the atheist up there all cool and everything. But here's the reality of all of that, and that. Well, Islam did have the high score, a high game score. They killed over 200 million people in the first 100 years of Islam. In the last 100 years, Marxism, which is the religion of man, has passed Islam in terms of death toll. So now it's the religion of the atheist that is the most deadly at all. So you can't pretend to be a peaceful person and be an atheist and condemn religions for being murderous. Because while religions have been murderous, it's the religion of the atheist that is the most murderous of all.
When you replace God, whether it's religion or politics, you end up in the same place. There's a consequence for replacing God.
Yeah, it's a collectivization of humankind. The atheist wants to run things either in communist, socialist, or fascist political circles, and as a result of that, they find themselves in a collectivized situation, and any place where there are many people are bad.
Yep.
All right, sir. This is really an interesting deal here. You can play it. I don't think there's any sound with it, but if there isn't, you could just, I think you've already turned off the sound anyway. But these are FBI agents, one after another, going in with evidence bags. And you know where they are, what that home is?
Well, it's Lindsey Graham's house.
That is correct. So what is the FBI doing with all of these agents with their evidence badges? They're guarding the door, and you've got FBI agents going in and out with evidence bags. What is in that house that they are trying to cover up?
No idea. Are we sure that he died in his house? I mean, at least that's where something happened, and then
Larry Johnson, the FBI, the former CIA analyst that made the claim that the Iranians had already had a nuclear bomb, and he's making the claim that Lindsey Graham was killed in Ukraine and then was flown back to the United States dead. But there's also 911 reports of Lindsey Graham making calls to not to 911, but to his scheduler, asking his scheduler to call 911 because he wasn't feeling very well. And that evidently they arrived too late. So I think the evidence is that he died here. There is considerable evidence that he wasn't just gay, but that he was really into some very whacked out homosexual practices. And again, I don't care about somebody's sexuality unless they're a hypocrite about it, like Paul, who was a homosexual, but then condemned homosexuality. This would be the same thing with Lindsey Graham. He, in all likelihood, was a homosexual, and but then he would condemn homosexuality. That makes him a real hypocrite. Might have been one of his more redeeming qualities, for all I know. But these guys are in confiscating evidence. And what's the reason? And of course, in America today, you'll never know.
That's right.
I find it fascinating that someone lives a life of being a senator and their first call is to someone to call 911 for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's
they
called a scheduler. According to another senator, who I guess knew the same scheduler, Lindsey Graham called his scheduler, not 911, and said, I'm feeling uncomfortable. According to the whole thing, he said, I can't die now. I've got other things to do. I've got to get the sanctions on Russia. I've got to get more weapons to Ukraine. I've got to, do this.
Warmongering.
Oh yeah, more war for Iran. I've got things. I've got really important things to do. People to kill.
Get the Save America Act through. Yeah.
Oh, it actually didn't say that one. That was not in his list.
But that's what Trump said. Trump.
Nope.
He
did not mention that.
He had just got off the phone with him.
Trump lied.
Yeah, go figure.
Trump lied.
No way.
And there seems to be a real disconnect too that Trump could have had a conversation with him when he called his scheduler and said, "I think I'm dying and I'm not ready to die because I've got more people to kill." And that one of the subjects he wasn't talking about was the Save America Act. So. Well, we seem
Well,
to
Trump-
have a disconnect. Somebody's lying here, and we got the FBI in to confiscate the evidence.
Trump did mention
I think we're
in
going to have
his
as,
phone
we're gonna have
call.
as much accountability here as we had on the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Oh,
maybe less.
absolutely.
We're not
Yeah,
going
Trump did
anywhere with
mention that phone call took place between him and Lansing somewhere in the 7s, he said, by
Yeah.
his recollection. So now we can at least timestamp it with when the 911 call came in to see if
From
if
the
there's any
scheduler.
tomfoolery.
Well, we don't
there.
know. It wasn't from Lindsay. It was from the scheduler, and the FBI
Uh-huh.
wouldn't is highly likely not going to reveal that. Isn't that amazing
No.
that we live in a country now that is that
it.
way?
Can't get that kind of answer. Yeah.
Yeah, that the country won't even identify the murderers of Good, of Bretty, or of Joan, or the fellow down in Texas. They won't even reveal their names. Yeah, it's a very special country that you live in now.
And
banana
the
republic.
FBI would not be my first choice to go in and secure any sort of not only classified information but seedy type of. The
Yeah.
man's a senator. He's known a lot of secrets for a long time of people on the
for
Hill,
sure he
right?
has.
And if he had
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
on anybody, I wouldn't be sending the FBI in to secure that material. You know what I mean? They're not the group that does that. So
No,
um
no, they're not. They're not. None of those FBI agents have top secret clearance.
They're the cleaners.
They're the cleaners. Yeah, they're the cleaners. Yeah, I mean, that's what it strikes me is they're the cleaners. That's what you would do if you were the mafia, and you would send in the cleaners. And of course,
Right.
you know,
Scrub it all out.
Donald
yeah.
Trump is the Don, the godfather of a criminal enterprise. So these are his cleaners.
On kind of a same note, I'm very, very curious about this. I've heard that his sister is going to be appointed
Already has been.
as the
Yeah, that was weird.
Already
Right?
has been.
I saw
and
that.
and she
Already
has
has
no political no
No.
political whatsoever
No.
in any way, shape, or form, you know.
That didn't
And that's
make
going to
sense.
be such a wild card. Interesting. Is she going to go in with this altruistic idea of what a senator's supposed to be, or is she just going to toe the line and keep her mouth shut? You know,
She was
I mean,
Toe
she
the
was
line,
chosen
keep her
by
mouth
Trump.
shut.
She will do what Trump tells her to do.
That's right.
sure.
Period.
Yeah.
End of conversation.
Trump even admitted that was an odd choice. He knew that
No,
was
Trump
flawed.
Trump recommended her.
Yeah. Yeah. He did
Okay.
recommend it.
Yeah.
Because
But
Yeah.
she
he
would be
said-
appointed
he
by the
said
governor.
Something that
She would be-
alluded to it's a little bit different choice. I'm not sure where he was going
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, I think it's the governor that gets to choose. But
They do. Yeah.
the moment he died, Trump said, "I think it should be his sister that replaces him."
Yeah.
Jolani, what a nice fellow. Now, this deal would be that's Baghdadi on the left and Jolani on the right. Obviously, it's two separate pictures, not the same picture. But you know, the AI did a nice job of trying to get them looking like they were looking together and having a conversation. Could have blurred the line a little bit, but nonetheless, that's the two. And Dilman Abdul Qadir wants to have you believe that the founder of ISIS is Baghdadi. Talks about how they dispatched Jolani, now president of Syria, from Iraq to establish the Jabhat al-Nusra as an extension of ISIS in Syria. Yeah, it's partly true, but it's the basis of and the foundation of ISIS is not Baghdadi. The founder of ISIS is General Petraeus.
Mhm.
Petraeus created the Awakening program, where he decided that he would arm Sunni militias. And his comment, he just lied, and he said, we'll use the Sunni militias to go after Al-Qaeda. But there was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and he knew there was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and Al-Qaeda is a Sunni organization. So if you wanted to arm a militia to go after Al-Qaeda, you would have armed the Shia militia. So it was an absolute lie. But of course, Americans don't have 5 IQ points between them to ever challenge a lie from a lying general. He armed the Sunnis because America was failing in its battle against Shia militias. Shia militias were taking a vicious toll of American troops in Iraq. That freeing Iraq from Saddam Hussein, who was a Ba'athist, and the Baathists were mostly Sunni, gave Iraq to the majority, which were Shia Muslims, and the Shia Muslims were very effective at arming and using Shia militias to kill Americans. So his real thought was that he would arm Sunni jihadists in Iraq to take out Shia jihadists in Iraq, except that's not what they did. They took the weapons and they rebranded themselves as ISIS, the Islamic State in Syria. And they used those weapons to first attack Mosul. They then killed tens of thousands of Yazidi. They tortured them to death. And then they took many thousands of Yazidi little girls, either burned them alive or gang raped them and kept them as sex slaves. And this was Jolani's job to oversee all of that. And so Baghdadi was not the founder of ISIS. It was General Petraeus working for George W. Bush, that in the counterproductive war and invasion of Iraq, managed to give Iraq to Iran and create the Islamic State to replace Al-Qaeda. Oh, the wicked webs we weave. And then he becomes
Trump had him
president of Syria, and Trump loves him.
Trump has him in the White House, doesn't he? Gonna
He
sell him
does.
his,
Yeah.
give him his perfume.
What do you say?
Such
He's
a
a very
good-looking guy.
strong man.
Mhm.
Yeah, handsome man.
Yeah,
Strong man,
and
fighter.
handsome.
Yeah, yeah.
We should look up to him.
Trump even gave him a bottle of special cologne.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he probably smells.
Who knows? Well, Trump does. So yeah, I guess you need the cologne to take care of that. One of the greatest lies ever perpetrated is that the military provides freedom. It has never happened in American history. Militaries do not provide freedom. They are the least free organizations within the countries. They're a military soldier has no choice. They have to obey the orders that are given to them. The moment you become part of the military, you surrender your free will. And in the case of America, there's no case where American military have fought to protect American freedoms. You can go through every war, and it's just not the case. And over the last 50 to 75 years, the American military has been used to impose death and destruction on other places in the world, but never once there to protect America. There's no American interest in Iran, none. There's no American threat or interest in Afghanistan. There wasn't any in Iraq. There wasn't any in Libya. We went and bombed Nigeria. There was no American threat in Nigeria. We invaded Grenada. We invaded Panama. We had regime change in Venezuela. We blew up boats in the Caribbean. None of these things was there an American threat. We lost 60,000 Americans in Vietnam. There's no American threat in Vietnam. We had no Americans freedoms of Americans weren't under attack in Korea. So everything you look at, Americans weren't under attack with the Maine. It was, but we sent them off to fight, the Spanish-American War. Americans weren't under attack in the Mexican-American War. The Americans were not under attack when we literally had the Lusitania sunk to cause that war. The idea that American freedoms was under attack because of the Gulf of Tonkin, it turned out to be a complete lie. No. Americans that sign up for military duty are sacrificing their liberty and living a lie. And the organization they belong to is designed to blow things up and destroy them and kill people. It is not designed to protect American liberty. They have never done so. They will never do so. It is a complete propagandist lie. What the military does is make it impossible for people to approach grievances with their government.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Trump wants to deploy them inside the United States. So no, it's a hideous and insidious lie. I do not support the troops. The total abandonment of the U.S. military would be the best thing that America could do.
Never should have been.
No.
It never should have been. Ever.
Thomas Jefferson was really clear that the whole purpose of the Second Amendment was to eliminate a standing military, which Jefferson knew would be the second biggest threat to the country. The biggest would be a central bank. The second biggest would be a military. And he went on, he wrote vociferously of the consequences of a military. It sounds very much like he read Yahweh's analysis of what was going to happen when the Jews democratically decided they wanted Shaul to be their king in the way of the Gentiles. Jefferson knew that a standing army, a military of a permanent army, would be devastating to the nation's freedom. And he was right. And but the morons now that promote this lie, and it's propaganda. And of course, when they promote propaganda, they have to have it under a flag. They've got to have it under some symbol that people revere. But it's nothing but propaganda. It is not true. Oh, socialism is the illusion that someone can manage your life better than you can yourself. What a stupid statement. Good God. I mean, when the only intelligent thing that was said that we found on X for the whole day was proposed by an anti-Semite.
I know.
A Russian anti-Semite.
A Russian anti-Semite is all we've got. No, nobody becomes a socialist because they think somebody can manage their life better than themselves. Never, ever, ever. So that isn't the definition of it. It's not even close to the definition of it. Socialism is this mental disorder that thinks that what others have earned belongs to you. And it's born entirely of greed. The very greed that the socialist portrays on those who are productive so they can demean them is the very greed that sits at the heart of socialism.
Yeah.
It's born out of envy and greed.
Yeah.
Not capitulation. The Marxists believe that they deserve what others have earned, and that they were going to create a government that confiscates it. So, my God, no, you're wrong. How is anybody going to learn anything if everybody is wrong?
Yeah, socialists prey on those who are entitled. You know, there's a whole population of entitled people, and they are easy prey for socialists. You know, take this generation.
No. The socialists think they're entitled. They don't prey on the entitled. The socialist preys on the productive.
Yes.
Those who have actually built something, created something, the socialist has no interest in actually investing the time or energy to build anything or take the responsibility or even have the wherewithal or the intellect to invent and to create and to conceive. They simply want to steal.
Yeah.
So
I should have said they capitalize on that sense. They take advantage of the fact that there are very many entitled people, and you can rally them to a cause and get them to believe that they deserve things over and above everybody else.
Yeah, well, the concept of entitlements means that they think that they're entitled to steal from what others have, that they're entitled to food, they're entitled to medicine, they're entitled to an education, they're entitled to housing. They're entitled to all of these things when they're entitled to nothing.
That's right.
You're entitled to nothing. Earn something, produce something, contribute something. Mm-hmm. Good God, you're a deadbeat when you think that if you're entitled, then who is not entitled and therefore has to produce what you think you're entitled to.
Mhm. Right.
So you got to have some stooge that you can whip to go make the things that you think you're entitled to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're too lazy to even go steal the stuff themselves. They have to have someone else go steal it for them. I mean, that was the whole joke about, cat burglars or whatever. Oh, the thieves. Oh, it was a very clever crime. The way they stole something, or whether at least there was some thinking that went into the crime they perpetrated. Socialists can't even do that. They have to have someone else go get it for them.
Yeah, it's not even Robin Hood. It's not. Robin Hood went out and robbed the rich allegedly to give to the poor. Of course, with him taking a mighty swath of the proceeds for himself. But the socialist doesn't even want to dress up in tights.
No. Yeah.
Now, if you told them that you dress up in tights, you could be transgender, maybe they would consider it.
Maybe they would.
Oh, wow. So Trump's big announcement on Thursday isn't about something that he has discovered that somehow has the 2024 midterms or 2026 midterms at risk, or the 2028 presidential election at risk. No, this piece of shit is going back to 2020 and claiming that he is uncovering now some classified information that there was some foreign involvement in that election, so that he can, in his mind, justify it actually being stolen from him. He can't get out of himself, and it has no value to the country, none. And listen, there is no country out there that's going to say, "Geez, what we think is we want the comatose Joe Biden, and so we're going to interfere in America's election to get the devil. We really want the man that's going to trash NATO. We want the man who's going to start a war with Iran and wreck the world's economy. We want the man that is going to kidnap the leader of Venezuela and then confiscate its oil. We want the man that is going to be all over the place on the Ukraine proxy war, so nobody knows what side's up. We want the man that is going to say one thing today and the opposite tomorrow. No, and to say that America, that a foreign power would say, "Oh boy, we really want Joe Biden." No, there wasn't a Tinker's damn reason for anybody as a foreigner to play in that religion. I mean, if somebody had some foresight to realize that Donald Trump was going to be demon possessed, the entire intelligent world would have gone against him. You'd have had every NATO country that would have been against him. You'd have had Russia and China and Iran and really the entire world, Venezuela and South America. You'd have the entire world against him, but he would have lost, 99% to 1% if we knew that he was going to be demon possessed and a confabulator. But why is he so fixated, other than his own stupid ego, on what happened in 2020? And the only news out of 2020 was there was that story that the FBI was promoting that the Russians were somehow encouraging Hillary Clinton to be president. But that was the previous election when he ran against Clinton, and in that election, the rub was put against him that he had the Russians collaborating on his behalf. Now, I could see the Russians doing that. They owned him. He was a made man in Russia. So the Russians could have done that. The Russians actually did a really intelligent thing in that campaign. They got access to Hillary Clinton's personal emails, and she was just a whore in her emails. She was completely disingenuous and a piece of trash. And, and they published those emails. And you can say, well, that was a dastardly deal. The Russians shouldn't have done that. Why? If your personal emails can be used against you in that way, too bad for you, because you wrote them.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not, I don't have an issue with the Russians doing that in terms of exposing her email. But in the Biden election, this notion that the Ruskies or the Chinese or someone's going to say that now we want the regime that we were opposed to. So the Russians were opposed to Clinton, which was, Obama, Clinton, Biden. If they were opposed to her because for some reason, and they exposed her emails because they wanted Trump, because Trump was a made man, then there would have been zero incentive for the Russians to go the opposite way and say, we're going to now support Biden against the man that we have the goods on in Trump. So if that's going to be his claim, he has no reason. It's irrational to make that claim. Okay. And if he's going to make the claim that China was the one that wanted Biden, you'd have to come up with a reason. And China has gone out of their way to keep from interfering. And they don't want to interfere. Their whole trade policy and their international relations policy is not to interfere. As we said yesterday, they'll do a deal with any nation. They don't care if that nation is fascist, socialist, monarchical, democratic, socialist. They don't care. They don't base any business deal or any international dealings on a nation's government. Their deals are always straightforward. We'll give you the money to build infrastructure. You will use the money to hire Chinese firms. We will give you a bid in writing for what it will cost. We'll produce a quality product at a good value. If you pay the loan back, then it's that asset is yours. If you don't pay the loan back, the asset is ours. Very fair deal. It's the one that China has used to become the leader of the world in so doing. So there is no investment by China to choose one leader over another leader. They don't care. So what is he going to go to? Mexico did it, or Canada did it? I mean, the only place he could go that he would get a political boost for claiming it would be Israel.
Yeah.
I don't think that's where he's going to go. But if he did that, it would certainly betray Israel, and it would play well to his base. And he'd get an enormous boost for claiming that Israel was trying to manipulate the election. But Israel would never have manipulated the election on behalf of Biden against Trump. No. So that doesn't work. Yeah. So now what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
So
it's going to be idiotic. I guarantee it's not going to make
it's just senseless. It's like when Trump said he was going to have the greatest announcement of all time, and he came out with a complete dud 4 or 5 days later. I would assume it's the same thing.
Maybe the aliens did it. Maybe the aliens were going to have a twofer on this. Their aliens exist. This is the proof of aliens' existence, and they are interfering in the elections against me. Yeah. Maybe it's a twofer.
Okay, but then why would the Democrats? Aren't these aliens all reptilian overlords?
Yes.
You always see them; they're reptilian overlords.
I don't know. There's no evidence yet. We haven't.
Isn't Trump Satan and therefore a reptile?
Yeah.
Why would they go against the reptile?
Yeah. Right. This is all coming together.
I don't know anything about alien politics. I'm sorry. You have me at a loss.
Okay. All right. Good luck with that one. Content, graphic warning. X labeled this post containing graphic content. What in the world was it? This is so I was given this post without any graphic warning. It just showed up. So without any graphic warning, I reposted and it comes up with a graphic warning on my page. So What this is, and you can play it. It shows the Fakistinians, Gazans, Muslims beating a dead Jew. If not dead, then we should see we're dead. And this is the reception that was received with Israeli hostages back into Gaza after their murderous rage on October 7th. And look at this. They're documenting their own brutality, their own savageness.
Yeah.
And so the person here wrote, this is Vivid. Vivid is wrong about everything. Thousands of Palestinians chanting Allahu Akbar as they hit the dead bodies of Israeli citizens with sticks and stones and spit on them and celebrate the killing of Jews. You've got to start by recognizing, and if you don't recognize this, you're never going to get anywhere. There is no such thing as a Palestinian. And the moment you say Palestinian, you've lost the argument. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
There are no Palestinians, just ordinary Muslims. Allah was not a Philistine god. And this is life and death for Israel. Until Israel, and Vivid is a very popular poster. He's a piece of shit, but he is a popular, or she or it, who knows if it's an it or a she or a him. But they're wrong always. And until Israel wakes up and recognizes that their enemy is Islam and holds it accountable as such, there is no Jewish state. Well, they've already been checkmated by Iran for making that same mistake. I think Iran's the enemy as opposed to Islam.
And how long did we spend, Yada, trying to make that point on X over and over? If it wasn't Vivid, it
30,000 posts.
Cheryl E. And they would look at you like it was incomprehensible. When you would say your enemy is Islam, it's not Hamas, it's not Iran, it's not Syria. They just would like, yeah, to death. And then they would just
Trump
go on
Trump is the
posting
great betrayer. Stop pretending that Trump loves you. He is, according to the prophets, the great betrayer. And you're not going to prevail by destroying Gaza. There is a better way to respond, and destroying Gaza is going to be counterproductive for you. And I know you want regime change and you want to go and bomb Iran, but you're never going to get regime change in Iran, and bombing them is going to be counterproductive. Don't do that.
Yeah.
30,000 posts.
Yeah.
30,000
I never got
posts.
one positive, sane response back. At best, they would just sort of ignore what you had said, but there was never any sane reply back. They would just either argue with you or just ignore you.
Yep, correct. And yet everything I said turned out to be true.
Yeah.
And recently, when we had Israel checkmated by Trump and Iran, and it became obvious, and many Jews actually acknowledge that it's obvious, they still go right back to their favorite lies. What God has found is that the Jewish people, the Israelites, have been impossible for 4,000 years. Nothing has changed. He has never been able to reason with them, to talk with them, to influence them, to garner their attention. And so we should expect exactly the same. It's not until there's nothing left for them to turn to, no one for them to turn to, that a final remnant will actually do something positive. But God's really clear that final remnant's going to be tiny. Yes, and then this is the MAGA lie now that Trump has given up on MAGA and America and his campaign promises so that he can be a pro-Israeli puppet with the Israeli flag. And the sad part of all of that is that, no, it's not the Israelis that control Trump. It's Trump that has betrayed Israel. So exactly the opposite has happened. But that's the nature of X and of AI and all of this sort of thing, is that the inverse of truth is very often that which is promoted. And there, because of the Tucker Carlsons and the Candace Owens and the Nick Fuentes and the like, even now the Joe Rogans, there's a huge swath of people that believe this. Anti-Semitism is rampant in America. Blame the Jews.
Israel has so got Donald Trump under their thumb and as a puppet that they cannot defend themselves against Hezbollah, right? That's what we said is what happened. That if they bomb, defend themselves against Hezbollah in any way, shape, or form, that
Israel wants to expand in the West Bank, and Trump says, no, you will not do so. And what do they have to do? Capitulate. Israel wanted to continue the war in Gaza. Trump said, no, you can't do that. Israel wanted to continue the war and Hamas, and no, you must make peace with Lebanon. But Lebanon was never the problem. Trump then uses Israel as a blunt instrument, a proxy to go after Iran. And then when the war doesn't turn out well, he betrays Israel and surrenders, putting Israel in checkmate. And they want to believe that Israel controls the United States. I'm here to tell you, nobody controls that man other than Satan. And Satan doesn't much like Israel. This is articulate on ICE. I am certain that my fact checker over here is going to tell me that the guy that I'm advocating to give a sane assessment of ICE is also an anti-Semite, and I'm going to say, all right, so I'm out of people to actually give a sane assessment of any topic, but you can play this. He has a very sane assessment of ICE.
2 more people, one in Houston, one in Maine. This brings the total to 10 people that ICE has shot and killed since Trump came back into office. In addition, 50 people have died in ICE custody. Just because the TV cameras don't cover this, the news doesn't cover this like it was being covered when there was the big surge in Minneapolis, doesn't mean that it isn't still happening on a regular basis. ICE is out of control. They are murdering immigrants and American citizens, and there's no accountability. I want you to remember how we got here. Back in the spring, Democrats said, if you want our votes for ICE's budget, then there has to be accountability. There have to be reforms. We can't let this continue. But Republicans were so intent on giving ICE a blank check, on effectively endorsing ICE's brutality, that they rejected every single one of our reforms. And they used a special process in the Senate to pass a huge increase in ICE's budget with only Republican votes. And by the way, they weren't content to double or triple ICE's budget. They quadrupled ICE's budget. And so ICE, of course, with all this new money, they are hiring people who are incapable of doing the job, who aren't trained. Thus, ICE is out of control. There's no accountability at ICE. The officers who end up abusing and brutalizing immigrants, they're not sanctioned, they're not reprimanded, they're celebrated. ICE's illegal behavior isn't any more acceptable today than it was back in the spring. Republicans eventually need to be held accountable for what they are doing to our immigrant population, to our cities, and to our nation.
The only criticism I would have with that, I think he's articulate too, and I hope he's not another closet anti-Semite, but he's a Democrat, he probably is that ICE is not a function of what was known as the Republican Party. ICE are the brown shirts. It's a function of Der Fuhrer, of Donald Trump. And that, and it's in this present state, it is a function of Donald Trump. And it is MAGAs who support them, but it is Donald Trump that completely controls all of the MAGA senators and congressmen. And he controls them through fear, Machiavellian techniques. And the only thing I would say is that, yes, the Republican Party has been co-opted by Donald Trump and ruined by him and MAGAs. But accountability here is not so much Republican, Democrat, as it is we have Satan in the White House. That's bad.
And no one's doing anything to fight that. No one, I mean, you have this whole idea of checks and balances, that this is what a Congress should be doing in their Congress and in their Senate, you know, but no one is fighting back.
No,
No.
no one's fighting back. They're all
Atmosphere
petrified.
of
And when
fear.
the Senate finally passed a War Powers Act against the president, he went in then next night and said no. He threatened them, closed doors.
right.
He threatened to expose them, threatened to condemn them, threatened to whatever, and they all capitulated. The senators in this country have as much courage as the flag officers of the U.S. military. No character, no conviction. I mean, America is far worse than worthless now.
Yeah.
It's corrupt beyond salvation. All we're doing is at this point is you can change the music that the band is playing, but the ship that is America is sinking rapidly. But it wasn't an iceberg, wasn't an external force. Americans did this to themselves. All right, let's do one more. Yeah, Donald Trump raped me. Donald Trump is a convicted rapist. And let that sink in. The president of the United States is a convicted rapist. On top of that, he is a convicted felon. And the three trials that were postponed because he was elected president, and there was some court decision that a sitting president shouldn't be tried for serious crimes. Yeah, I don't know what they were even thinking, but so now you have a convicted felon and a convicted con man, because one of the cases he was a convicted felon was for violating election laws, non-fair elections, by not disclosing his payoff to the porn star Stormy Daniels. So he paid off the porn star Stormy Daniels for sex. And if you do that in proximity to a national election and don't disclose that you have made that kind of an arrangement, it is the federal government has determined that that is a crime, because it's hiding information that might change people's votes.
Election interference.
Election interference. He was tried and convicted on election interference, and he lost. Then he was tried, and that was a felony. And then he was tried and convicted on misrepresenting his financial statements to banks for real estate deals. And he not only lost, but the loss was in the hundreds of millions of dollars was the penalty. Yeah. And then he was tried twice on raping this woman, on Carol, twice and lost on both occasions. And so he is a rapist. And that man is the president of the United States. And the trials that would have made the biggest difference is the document heist that was in Key Largo. He confiscated truckloads of these documents and had them in all manner of places, and some were at the highest security level. And that is a very, very serious crime, and he would have gone to jail for it. The single worst crime was what he did when he is recorded trying to change the voter outcome in Georgia. And he's recorded pleading for somebody to find him votes. That is a very serious crime with serious jail time and prison time. And then the one that would have surely gone against him, that would have caused him to be incarcerated for the rest of his life, was election interference and his January 6th participation, where he is the person who inspired it. They all left from his rally. He told them to go there. They did what he told them to do. and everyone that was tried in D.C. Was convicted and long prison sentences. And so Donald Trump, as the instigator of it, would have been convicted and had a long prison sentence. Those trials were all pending, and he would have lost them all.
Yeah.
Had Elon Musk not stepped in and given him $300 million to swing the independent votes in those swing states at the last minute, Donald Trump would be bankrupt and in prison today.
Yeah, it's remarkable, but that's true.
Yeah. Now, Donald Trump publicly has admitted that he has fingered the genitals of women without their consent. He's admitted that he hosted beauty contests of young teenage girls, underage girls, so that he could walk into the dressing rooms and see them naked, which is a crime. And he's admitted it publicly. He was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend for 15 years, his primary enabler. There are many affidavits that say that he raped young women when they were in their early teens.
He's even spoke perversely about Ivanka.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And he even made incestuous comments about, his daughter. Yeah. And one of his wives, he accused him of being sexually abusive. He is Christian MAGAs have elected the devil.
This is their guy.
This is their guy.
They should be proud.
So Christians say you have elected the devil, and you're proud of him. And he is acting every inch of Satan with every speech he makes. And it's so obvious he's Satan. It's why you talk about rape here. Donald Trump raped me. In the book of Ezekiel, which was inspired by Satan, there's 2 chapters of the book focused on 2 really graphic and brutal rapes of Jewish girls by Satan. And they're graphic. You open the Quran, and the Hadith is all about Muhammad and his goons raping Jewish women. This is who you elected.
Mm-hmm.
Stunning.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. Will, appreciate you being here. Thank you, Kevin. I'm glad you are pleased with your avatar, and look forward to doing this with you again soon. And I guess I have Captain Kirk tomorrow, huh?
Tomorrow.
Who said anything about that? Who said anything about that?
Yeah,
surprise.
Where did you get that idea from? Old time friend. The Captain Kirk. So looking forward to doing that. We'll try to tee up some good things to talk about between now and then. Who knows what the dumpster and others will give us to talk about tomorrow. Yeah. But thank you guys for participating. We'll be back with another episode of Luminaries this afternoon. We may have to go back and talk a little more about what we can learn about the meeting between the 3 fellas and Abraham and Sarah. Now that we have a more recent version of the text up for consideration.
You got to start at chapter 16. You're going to start on chapter 16, I think.
Rich, I think, has reloaded. I gave him a more recent document. He's reloaded it.
Okay.
And we'll check and see if he's reloaded it to where I ended the program, or I think we need to reload it way back to where I began the process of review.
Where I think it's at right now.
Okay.
Take a look when we're done here.
All right. Yep. So we'll see. Yeah, it is exactly, because it has that line about Noah would live another 350 years, and just how jarring that should have been to everybody. And and I know I'm the first to figure it out. And why is it that in a book that has greater distribution than any book in human history and has a delicious detail in it like that of 350 years after the flood, that nobody has figured it out? So I think it is worthwhile going back over that material again, because Noah and Shem, representing Yada and Dod, they were there at the affirmation of the covenant of Mount Moriah with Abraham and Yishak.
exciting.
We'll go back on.
Forward to
We'll cover
that
that
one.
again. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll
All right, guys.
talk
Thank
again
you.
later. Bye.
See you later.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. That was Fetch. Gotta run now. Catch y'all on our next podcast.